What's up, fight fans? Welcome to my channel. This is Johnny, and in today's video we're going to be going over the statistics that nobody talks about when mentioning this weekend's fight in England. It's a rematch between two fighters at 154 pounds, Junaid Bostan and Bilal Fawaz. Guys, before I continue, I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to everybody who's been with me since day one. If you haven't already, could you please remember to hit subscribe? Could you also give me a thumbs up on this video? Both of those things really help me out. It helps get our message out to more people to spread the word of our favorite sport, boxing. Also, do one more thing. Go down to the bottom of your screen. You're going to find a link. Become a member of our Johnny Says Boxing Insider VIP group. You get more access to myself on the channel during our live streams, but more importantly, you become a member of our private professional boxing betting Discord. In that Discord, you'll have access to professional gamblers, you have access to amateurs. More importantly, you become part of an exclusive private community. Click the link that's pinned in the comment section below to find out more. All right, guys, we have a lot of fights this week. We've already covered fights in the States. We covered the main event on this card in Sheffield, England. But this feature video takes place at 154 pounds between two guys who already fought before. The first fight ended in a draw. This is the rematch between Bostan and Fawaz. When you talk about two fighters who took totally two different paths to get to where they are, you couldn't have found a bigger contrast than this fight coming this weekend. In this video, what I'm gonna do is break down both fighters' careers. We're gonna talk a little bit about how they go about their business. We're gonna talk about that first fight that ended in a draw. And like always, stay tuned to the end of the video. That's where I'll be going over the current Las Vegas odds. And I'll also be giving you my prediction and telling you where to put your money. All right, guys, let's start off with the favorite. Let's start off with the matchroom guy, the prospect that has all the buzz around him, and that is the fighter they call Starboy, Junaid Bostan. He came into the first fight a huge favorite. The fight was built around him getting experience against a guy that he was supposed to beat. Let's not get it twisted. The fight started how he wanted it to. He was winning rounds. He was scoring points. Junaid Bostan has speed. He's a good boxer. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to operate. He has the skill set. So in that first fight against Fawaz, you got to see all of these sort of tools on display early on in the fight. But we know it's called boxing. We know it's a fight. And sometimes as a fight progresses, a different storyline unfolds. And that storyline with Bilal Fawaz was all about pressure, pace, volume, and a little bit of nonverbal communication and psychology. What you started to see play out when you rewatch your tape is the fact that Bilal started pouring it on. His output and tempo was stressing out the young 23-year-old fighter, and as he figured this out, Fawaz, and he stayed in that space until the end of the fight. And you can see when the fight got called, you can see when the judges were putting their scorecards together at the very end, one fighter definitely didn't look like he won. He was gassed out, and the other fighter had his arms up, totally expecting to win. To fully understand Bilal Fawaz, you have to understand where he comes from. On paper, you guys are gonna look at a 37-year-old versus a 23-year-old. This is not an atypical old veteran that's long in the tooth with a lot of miles. Bilal Fawaz was a guy who's lived in the UK since 2002. He was on track to represent the UK twice in the Olympics, once in 2012 and once in 2016. But he failed to do so due to immigration status. The UK never looked at him as a resident, and so this deterred his boxing career. In 2014, over 10 years ago, Frank Warren offered him $200,000 and he couldn't accept it because of his immigration status. This goes on for years. And finally, his boxing gym, the local community where he was living at, protested and protested, and they got his status overturned. This is why you see at 37 years old. I think that's important to mention when you're looking at the statistics and just breaking it down on age, especially when you look at the first fight. A lot of people are saying that Bostan is going to be the one to be able to make the adjustments. But when you talk about the adjustments, Bostan is the one, in my opinion, who fights a little bit more negatively. He likes fighting off the back foot. He likes counter boxing. On paper, he has more knockouts, but I give the power advantage to Fawaz. The adjustments people are talking about for Bostan are definitely gonna have to be in the cardio area. His gas tank, will he fade? Will he allow the pressure from Bilal to affect him and put him in a sort of survival state rather than a state of fighting on the front foot and being able to prove to the judges that he actually was the rightful winner this time around. The first one ended in a draw, so this is why the second one's taking place. It's a pretty intriguing fight. The odds are actually wider than I think they should be. Before I get into the odds and go over the underdog and the favorite and also give you my prediction, I do want to take a closer look at the older fighter. I want to take a closer look at Bilal Fawaz first and see what he's been up to in his career. Guys, Bilal Fawaz is 9-1-1. Of his 9 wins, he has 3 knockouts. His 1 loss was a decision, and he's coming off that draw. Out of 2,310 fighters in the world at 154 pounds, he's ranked number 162. He's fought a career total of 61 pro rounds and carries into the ring a 33% career knockout to win ratio. Like I said, he only turned pro in 2022. The 37-year-old was born in Nigeria. He stands at 5'11.5" and now calls the United Kingdom home. We last saw him fight Junaid Bostan, 10-0, split draw. Amos, 13-1, won a points decision in the 10th. Sislak, 8-16, points in the 4th. Granum, 9-129, points in the 4th. Ananyani, 6-3, points in the 10th. So with Bilal Fawaz, if you've never seen him, if you haven't watched tape on him, the thing about him is he weaponizes his cardio. It's one of my favorite things about this matchup is when you put a guy who likes to counterbox in Boston, when you put a guy who likes to use his speed and his sort of naturally God-given talents in Boston against a guy who isn't going to be as technical, who doesn't have the speed advantage, who doesn't have as many gifts as his opponent, you're going to get a guy in Fawaz who's going to press forward and bring the fight to you. I think this time around, if he wants the judges to go his way, I see a lot of people online say that he's going to have to stop Boston. I disagree. Just because on paper you see that he was born in Nigeria, I already told you guys, he's lived in the UK for the last 25 years. It's not like the crowd in Sheffield is going to be 100% pro-Boston. It's not going to be like the judges are looking at Fawaz as a traveler. He is a UK guy. The UK community are the ones who got his migration status overturned and allowed him to become a resident. That being said, I feel what he did from the 5th round onwards, the space he fought the fight. I saw Boston look a little bit uncomfortable in the pocket throughout that fight. I saw Boston have a little bit of a leaky defense in the pocket, get hit with shots that he probably shouldn't have got hit with considering his skill set. So with Bilal, I feel what he did in the 5th onwards, he'll probably start off much earlier and bring that fight to Boston. The question is, will Boston's timing, speed, accuracy be too much to hold off Fawaz? And will Boston's gas tank be able to last the entire time? Right now, let's take a closer look at Starboy and see what he's been up to in his career. Guys, Junaid Bostan is 10-0-1. Of his 10 wins, 8 of them come by knockout. Out of 2,310 fighters in the world at 154 pounds, he's ranked number 72. He's fought a career total of 69 pro rounds and brings into the ring an 80% career knockout to win ratio. His adoring fans know him as Starboy, and the 23-year-old southpaw stands at 5'11". He was born and raised in Rotherham, Yorkshire, United Kingdom. We last saw him fight Bilal Fawaz, 9-1, split draw in the 10th. Samariva, 9-4, stopped him in the 3rd. Martin, 9-1, stopped him in the 8th. Russ, 6-0, won a UD in the 8th. McCullough, 7-3, stopped him in the 6th. It's very rare that I get super excited about a domestic international dust-up, but this matchup has all the makings for another exciting fight. Follow both guys on Instagram. You'll see what I'm talking about. Junaid Bostan is the more quiet guy. He is young. He's kind of the boy in there. They call him Starboy for a reason. Hasn't gone through the sort of physical maturity process of a grown man in a combat sport like Bilal Fawaz has gone through. When you look at Bilal's social media, he's an artist. He makes music. He's good on the microphone. Psychologically, he feels that he won that fight. All week, they've been doing their face-offs, their stare-downs, and Bilal is pressing up on Starboy, trying to intimidate him, and we'll see if any of that carries over into the fight. Like I said, Boston's going to be the quicker guy. He's going to be the more skilled guy. He's going to have the sharper reflexes, and I think overall, if we had to say technicality, winning rounds, who's the better technical boxer, I give it to the young kid. There's a reason why he's being marketed. There's a reason why he's a top prospect. Going into this fight, he's once again the favorite. He's not as big of a favorite as he was in the first fight, but the odds are still pretty wide. I watched the first fight. This will be controversial. I scored the first fight to Fawaz 6-4. I initially had it 7-3 for Fawaz, rewatched it in the last 2 days, 6-4. The draw, I understand how it went that way. It was really a tale of 2 fights. Like I said, the adjustment conversation. Well, Junaid can make more adjustments than Bilal. Maybe it will come down to whose game plan has changed or altered. Bilal won't have to do too much different. I just think it's going to come down to when and where he chooses to press and put on the gas and the tempo. Also, putting Junaid Bostan in a position to punch with him early on in the pocket. Also, keeping Bostan on the back foot. Right now, before I give you guys my money line prediction, I want to remind everybody I do live streams every single day. In those live streams during fight week, we go over-unders, method of victories, prop bets. Remember, in these Stats Don't Lie videos, you're only going to get my money line prediction. All right, guys, wherever you are in the world, let's pull out our betting apps. Currently on the money line, Starboy Junaid Bostan is $1.42 favorite, meaning you put 100 on Bostan just to win, you get your money back plus $42. The draw is 16 to 1. Fawaz is a $3.15 underdog, meaning 100 on Bilal gets you your money back plus 215 bucks. If you're going for Bostan, the $1.42 on a parlay is great value already. You don't have to get too sexy or too fancy picking a method of victory, a stoppage, or a decision. You put $1.42 on a long money line parlay, that'll juice it up pretty significantly. And vice versa with Bilal Fawaz, if you're siding with him coming in over a 2-to-1 dog after we just saw how this played out, after everything I just spoke about, what I've seen on tape study, that value is amazing for me. I think this should be a 50-50 fight. All things considered, how the first fight played out, with the pace, with the tempo, the sort of psychological, I feel, advantage that Fawaz has. And all fight week, he's been in Junaid Bostan's ear, letting him know about it. You give me Bilal Fawaz at $3.15, I'm jumping on that all day long. I know this is kind of a pick'em 50-50 fight, and you guys know from my channel this is not an echo chamber. Right now in the comment section below, let me know if you agree with me, if you're taking Bilal Fawaz, or if you're gonna go with Starboy Junaid Bostan getting it done in the rematch. Also, guys, if you haven't seen my breakdown, prediction, and analysis of the main event of this card in Sheffield, England, at heavyweight between Dave Allen and Arslanbek Makhmudov, stay tuned to the channel because that's coming up right now.